Hello and welcome back to my channel and to my Guinevere project. Now, if you haven't seen my Guinevere projects before, these were a Cool Cats kit that I designed with Kay and Maggie, which is an acetate or aperture fronted album. Now, the basic kit teaches you how to put the cover together and the pages and the spines. Of course, you can then decorate the inside any way you want, but I've decorated them the same way or the same basic way, and you can just add your twists to it. So this now is the first part of the decorating process. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get your mitered corners on your acetate front, and then the tips and tricks for what you want on this page here, which is page 1. So let's put the farmhouse one away. And as you can see, the aperture front, this one didn't have the acetate. So just show you can do it without. And exactly the same page style, but using Savannah by Stamperia there. So this album was designed where you can actually decorate it with one pad of your Stamperia paper or any others where you get about 12 sheets, because like the Echo Park, what other ones have limited pages. But what I've used is the background from the Desire by Stamperia, and you will easily be able to cover it using just this. Now, the only thing is then you haven't got images. So what you can do is, if you've already got the Desire 12 by 12 regular pad, inside that's got some fussy cut images you can use. You can use some ephemera pieces, which are a new thing they've got, which are sticky backed stickers, which you can then put on to your black cardstock, and then I just fussy cut around it. So if you wanted images that way. But what I've decided to do is also use the coordinating 8x8 pad. And our pages are just slightly less than 8 inches wide. Well, the page itself is 8, so we're going to be cutting our papers at 7 3/4, which means the sizes of these images are just perfect then for Guinevere. So if you did have a background one and an 8x8, that would be plenty to decorate 2 Guineveres. G45, graphic 45, used half of the regular pad, the regular 12 by 12 pad. Right, so let's put our papers away. I've already started fussy cutting some of the ephemera and things out just to save some time. So let's have a start by looking at our front. So I'm going to put my pages to the side, and we're going to look at this bit first. I'm going to go to my pad, and what you're going to see needs to be thought out first, because you're going to see whatever image is here through your aperture. Now, to me, that would be nice, but we are getting very close to their heads. So I might not use that one. Again, that one is just a bit too tall. We're cutting off his head again. This one I thought looked nice. She fitted in, but again, we were losing him. That one did fit lovely in there, but for some reason I don't like big faces, so I was put off by that one. Oh, the paper's come loose. This one looked rather nice because you got a bit of the guitar, and she fitted in quite nicely there. I think the one we're going to go for is this one. I thought it just looked really nice by there. So we're going to go for that one. But as you can see, this pad had a choice of quite a few possibilities. So let's get that one ready. So that's what's going to go onto page 1. So when I've decided that, now I can think about coordinating this with it. So we're going to think now, what would make a nice background? Now, nothing too fancy and nothing with stripes like this, because when you come to do the mitre, it just doesn't look nice. So you want something with quite a random pattern. That could look quite nice, but I think a bit too pale for the whole background. So let's have a look. So that could be quite nice, but you've got a pattern going out. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use this one that I've already started using for other things. So we'll start off by cutting strips at 1 1/8. Now, originally I did 1 inch here and it had quite a bit of black, so 1 inch works. But on the acetate, I made it even bigger, so I went 1 1/8, and I felt like it just looked a little bit better. So I'll go 1 1/8, 1 1/8, and 1 1/8. Now 3 strips should be enough to do your aperture, which then leaves enough to cover the back and the spine out of the rest. So our album is just on 6 3/4, so I'm going to do it at 6 1/2. So let's go to 6 1/2. And the back piece, I'm going to cut it at 8 3/4. And the spine at just over 1 1/2. So 1 1/2. It's not quite another 1/8, so probably just a little 16. There we go. And these little bits then come handy for making your matching tags and closures. So let's just get my spine inked. So I'm just using some black distress ink just to get rid of that white edge, because you would notice it against the black cardstock. So that's the spine. And this is the back. Now, if you're looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, that's a big piece, I don't want to use it all. What you can do, and what I did on my Savannah one, was I covered the spine and I covered the back with a black piece of cardstock with just a little strip of the pattern paper just to tie it in. So that's one way if you want to save some paper. So I've now got my spine, my back piece, and my 3 strips ready to go. So let's open up our cover and let's start with the back piece. So I'm just going to grab my glue. And glue all around the edges. And down the middle. So let's just give it a wiggle here as well. So you don't want this coming up. Oh, got a blob come around. And glue it. So I'm just going to take my Teflon tool and sort of just iron that glue. What I'm doing is spreading that glue underneath. Anything that comes out, just give it a little wipe. But as I said, mine is the dries clear. And I've just got a bit of wiggle room. There we go. And now the spine one. And you'll see then, by using that one piece of just pattern paper, it all sort of ties in. So now we're going to start our strips. So our strips are going to go like this. So it depends now how much black you like shown on the edge. I'm going to actually do it on the bottom, otherwise I can't see where the end is. So I am going to cut mine at 8 5/8. So 2 of these at 8 5/8. I should have this flat. Let's show best practice. So we say 8 4/8 5/8. Another piece then to help with our closures. 8 4 5/8. And before we glue it, we're going to just distress this as well. And this one. Put the ink on before I get it everywhere. We're now just going to glue these at the top and the bottom. So I'm just making sure it's all even. And using my Teflon tool just to spread that glue underneath so it's all stuck down. And because I got all these black dots down there, I'm going to try and keep those black dots down bottom left as well. So I've got some in the top right here. So when I come to do my miters, I'll just consider that into things. So with this, I'm not going to use my trimmer. I'm going to use my pencil. And I'm going to line up my left corner like so. Well, actually, we're going to use this bit, aren't we? Down the dots. So I'm going to use the bottom left with the bottom left there. I'm going to take a cut from this corner to here. That's where the end of that paper strip is. So when I take this, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can use your trimmer if you want, but it really doesn't matter. So what I've done is marked from that corner to there. And now, if you have it smack on here, you won't be able to know where you're marking. So just bring it across a little bit, and that just exposes the end of this top bit. So I'm going to mark, I'm going to come down this way and up from that way. So then once I've cut it, and again, you don't have to be precise with this then, you will get a piece which will fit perfectly there, giving you that mitered finish. So just to highlight that mitre, I'm going to go really dark on those diagonals. So you can see them showing up. So we're making a feature of them rather than just having them accidentally being there. And now we're just going to glue it down. There we go. And we're just going to repeat it now with this piece. So I can't get the black, but I think we'll be hiding most of it anyway. So we're going to use that diagonal there, slide it back a little bit. I'm going to cut on the diagonal that way. And again, harsh black inking on the diagonals. Just gentle inking down the sides. And again, plenty of black there to highlight the mitre. And that's the cover of your Guinevere, all decorated. So the next thing to do is to decorate page 1, or you can decorate your acetate. So let's do, whilst we've got the acetate, let's do page 1, and then we'll have a look at what paper we've got left over to do the acetate side. So these are the 4 pages I made. So first job is I'm going to mark them page 1 that way up. This is a Maggie and Kay tip. So you're keeping track and you're not going to decorate your pages upside down because you've got your arrow saying this way up. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So 4, 5, 6, and 7. Oh, and the back 8. There we go. So obviously I don't need those yet. I only want page 1. Now page 1, you don't want to be doing too much to it because you want your image to shine through there. So we're just going to do a nice simple pocket which we can put some photo mats into. So move the page so I've got my trimmer nice and flat. We're going to start by cutting a square, a piece at 9 by 5 3/4. And now bring back the scoreboard. So with a long piece across the top, we're just going to score it half, then down half an inch down one of the long ones, and down half an inch down the other short one. So we scored on 3 sides. We now have a ½ inch channel, just like we did when we did our pages, down the side. So we're just going to put tape between the edge of the paper and between it and the score line. Now don't go onto the score line or touch the score line, otherwise your adhesive will be showing later on. Then, just to stop the bulk in the corners when we stick our pocket on, we're going to cut towards the place where the 2 score lines crossed. Then we're going to angle our scissors to the left a little bit. So it's a bit harsher than straight across. That means when we turn them over, you'll have a space there. If you didn't miter it so harshly, you might have some overlap, and that would add quite a bit of bulk to your pocket. So again, I'm going to cut up and cut off. So that little twist really does make quite a difference. So let's turn this over. And just like we wanted our pages to lie flat, any pocket like this we also want to lie flat. So take your time burnishing this down. Turn it over, burnish on this side. Like so. That's not the most fun video to watch them, just see me do that. But it's important to get it flat. And this is the bottom of the pocket, open top here. It's just going to go on the page. And that's as much as this page is going to be. So to do that, I'm just going to expose a little bit of each edge. Now, this not being adhesive now, gives me some time just to move it around and get it in place, lining up the sides. So at the moment, nothing here is sticking, but as soon as I'm ready, I can press down in the corners and then take the tape out. And now you should have a nice lined up pocket. But before we stick it down on the sides, if you've made an album before and you find when you put your photo mats in, they catch in there, because you get this tape in the kit, let's put it to some use. If you put some tape over that hinge and burnish it down, when it comes down now, it should slide over that little hinge a bit better. So you go, another use for this tape. Then expose a little bit of the tape. This means then you can move the top if you need to into place. So you still got some of that little wiggle room before you pull it off. And that is the base of page 1 done. So now it's time to look at our image. So I'm looking here now and I can see that it's going to come here. So we are going to miss his head, luckily. If it was going through his head there, what I would do is take a 1/2 inch from the bottom, because you can use a 1/2 inch strip somewhere else. Nice and easy. Our paper is just a little bit wide because our page is 8 inches. Whatever piece you're matting it onto, you're just going to make it 1/4 inch less. So if it's 8 inches wide, we're going to go to 7 3/4. The pocket then is 5 1/4 high, so we're going to go to 5. So 7 3/4. So I'm taking... Ooh. I don't think my blade wants to cut my paper, so I'm just going to go and change it. Okay, so I've changed the blade. So I've cut it now at 7 3/4. And we said our pocket was 5 1/4 tall. So I'm going to cut it at 5. I think that's cut this time. Yes. So that will then go on the pocket. If it was just a patterned page, I wouldn't worry too much about what's that height there. But if you want pattern continuing, you'll need to cut it at 1 1/4. going to have to be really careful of that edge. I might just have to cover that bit I tore. I'm just going to ink the edge and ink the main pocket piece. So you're going to glue that on there and tuck that inside. So I'm going to have to be, I'm really wary of this edge here. I should be able to salvage it. So tuck it into there, bring it up, and you hopefully won't have to do that. Ah, yeah, that's not too bad at all. And our couple there. So that is all I'm going to do here, because we're just going to use that then for some photo mats at the end. Then when this goes on to page 1, that is what you will see showing through. So that's page 1 all done, apart from making a photo mat, which is totally up to you. But what I'm going to do now is do the acetate for the inside cover. Now I'm doing this after because I want to make sure this is correct, so I can find a paper which will match. So normally I would actually do this at the end, but I want to get the whole cover done for you. Now the reason I do it at the end is you need 3 strips, so I'd be using my leftover pieces. So I want something which is going to match that. Now that would be pretty tricky to do because you sort of got a regular pattern going on. This could be quite nice, but this one I think matches and ties in with all the different squares. So let's go for this one. So let's put our cover to the side. Let's put page 1 over there as well. And bring our trimmer in. So again, you can go 1 inch or 1 1/8. So I'm going 1 1/8. So this time I'm not going to use my trimmer to cut the ends. I'm actually going to use my acetate because I want to go right up to the edge of my acetate each time. So on the back of 2 of the strips, I'm just going to take my tape just a bit longer than my acetate. So I've just measured my acetate is there. Let's tidy up a bit as well. There we are, it's a bit wider. So we're going to ink the top and bottom. From where the tape is, so you're going to go a little bit further than your acetate, but I'm not going to worry about the sides because this is going onto the acetate. Now this is going to be really hard to see. I wonder if I bring a piece of black, will it be easier to see? Can you see that a bit better? Yes. So we're now going to attach this to the edge, and I'm lining up this bit at the same time. And I'm just going to expose and keep it up until I get it in exactly the same place. There we are. And the same with the bottom. Then I'm going to flip it over and trim off the excess. Now this asted is so thick that your scissors sort of just follows it naturally. And now I'm going to ink the two ends. So that's how I did the top. Now let me have a think about this. So if I have that coming down that way, really I want that bit going there. So let's have, do you want the red showing again? No, let's go this way. So now I'm going to do the same on this side. For some reason I've got a bit of my paper showing there, so let's just trim that white bit off. And just as we did with the top piece, we're going to take our tape a bit further than the acetate. Expose a little piece. Oh, I haven't inked the edge. That was close. Now expose the edge, and exactly the same as we did earlier, line it up, keeping this end lined up along the bottom, stick it down, and then peel off that bit. And now it's exactly the same as we did on the front. I'm going to grab my pencil. There we go. And mark, because we're going to go that way. So I'm just giving a little mark there. And we're going to come from here to here. So this now is the exact size, so I want to ink all the edges. Make sure those diagonals are getting a good black ink. Just to highlight that mitre. And I'm not going to use glue. I'm going to use my tape. So I'm going to put it across there. I'm going to take my scissors because I want it right up to the edge. So I've overhung it so I can trim it off. And that diagonal should match there this time. Into this, I will need to trim that. Bring back the acetate, expose a little bit. So by not exposing to the end, I was managed to wiggle it there. So it wasn't quite in the right space with me. And now this piece should already have the mitre correct at the top. So I just need to mitre the bottom. Again, really go to town with the black on the diagonals. And we need that same tips and tricks we did with the other one, taking it right up to the corner. So the mitre should be good enough to go into that corner, yes. And if you find you have just trimmed a little bit off your paper, just go back and add some extra ink and nobody will ever know. So just go like that. Again, we're going to expose it. Oh, I've done the bottom this time, so let's just turn it around. So you can see why you want to choose quite a random pattern for this, so you're not trying to match things up. Just to make life easy. So there we have our mitred acetate piece. Now, of course, you could have done this for the front. You could have put the acetate on the front, but I think having that little bit of depth by having it behind is a bit nicer. So now we're just going to add some tape. We don't need to worry about the diagonals anymore. And I'm just going to cover everywhere where the paper is. So around the edge. And the inner acetate piece here. There we go, and then just take off all the tape. Now you can't really use the fold back trick here because of the middle piece. So I'm just going to take it all off in one go. Just bring it back. Get rid of the black piece, I think. So I can line up, let's move them out of the way as well. And lining it all up and pressing it. Now thinking about it, what you could have done maybe is you could have put some of the your glue over the double-sided if you wanted to give yourself some wiggle room, just in case it didn't drop down straight away. So there we go. Our cover and page 1 have been complete. Obviously, I'll be adding all the pages at the end. I just want to show you what it will eventually look like. And this here now is where if I wanted to add some ephemera pieces or something, I could. Let's have a look. So I've got the journal cards cut out. I've got the fan back, so I could glue that. Just make sure you're not placing glue there because you've got that depth between the acetate. So we've got the car. You could build up your pieces, totally up to you. Or if you're at the Cool Cats shop already, why not have a look at the Memories die? Because what that will do is the larger one will cut out of black cardstock to match that. And I cut 3 and then used one piece which I had left over to cut the inner one, which has got some embossed detail as well. And it fits perfectly there. Of course, you could move it to the left, move it to the right, but I centralized it there. Just have that little piece poking over the acetate. So I hope you enjoyed the first of the decorating video of the cover and page 1. If you have, please give me the thumbs up and hit that subscribe button does mean a lot. And if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified of the next part of this project. And why not have a look at the Cool Cats website as well, where you can get the kit and some dies which I'll be using in the next few pages. And if you do have a go, I'd love for you to share it with me as well. So head to my Facebook group called Paper Crafting with Paul. Just type it into Facebook or have a look in the description box below as well. And you'll find a link to that. And also just Cool Cats will take you to the Cool Cats Facebook group as well. And we'd love to see what you do with your Guinevere project. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next part.